Well, good morning. As we begin this Council on Aging meeting, we start with reading the governor's notice related to the open meeting law. Pursuant to Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's order imposing a strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the North Andover Council on Aging will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website, www.northandoverma.gov. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by turning to CAMED, which is Comcast Channel 99 or Verizon 28, or online with their computers at northandoverma.gov. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible. If the public would like to participate, please email your question or comment prior to or during the meeting to dkcdcasey@northandoverma.us. The question or comment will be read during the proceedings and responded to accordingly. So that takes care of that. I think we're ready to go. We've done the attendance. And as far as I know, everyone is here. We haven't heard from Jennifer Abuezi yet, or Patricia Riley, or Eileen. So we have Lawrence Smith, David Van Arsdale, Maria Rosati, Tracy Shea, Joseph McCarthy, Quintera Costa, Joseph Nahill is the attendance I have of the members. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the March 9th meeting. I think you've all received them and have had a time to look it over. If there is any questions, comments, corrections, or additions that need to be made, please let us know now.
Larry?
Yes.
I was present at last month's meeting. And
Yes.
I wasn't listed as others present. And so I don't know whether the statement of outreach manager and assistant director would be in lieu of my name being mentioned. I'm not sure.
Well, that should certainly be inserted. So.
Take care of it.
Thank you, Tracy.
Sure.
Any others? If not, if someone would like to move that we approve the minutes as amended.
I
make a
approve
motion to
that.
approve.
Okay, go ahead, and I'll second it. Ms. Maria.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
And it looks like we got to do a roll call on this. Is that right, Dee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, David?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Joe McCarthy?
Yes.
Quintera?
Yes.
Joe Nahill?
Yes.
Yes, and I do yes, Larry. So we're done with the minutes. And the next item on our agenda is we have Dee Casey with us, who's the acting director for the moment, and she has several items of reports to inform us of what's going on now. All set, Dee?
I am, thank you. And Mr. Chair, I just checked my email and there are no public comments.
Okay, thank you.
Um, so first is acting director. So Melissa has named me acting director in the absence of a full-time director as we are still conducting this search. Can you hear me okay? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
No, I hear you perfect.
Okay. So basically all that means is I'm empowered to sign things for the center. I'm keeping in close contact with the staff, obviously, on programming and budgeting. And my job is for the interim to keep the ship floating, which staff is doing a terrific job. So does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah, Dee, what's the process? I mean, as the board, we're really going to be tied to a new director. Can you tell us, since we're not involved in the process, how it's going, how many people are under consideration, when we'll know something?
So we will conduct the final of our second panel interviews on, I believe, Thursday of this week. So after that, the panel will make a recommendation to the town manager as to who the panel believes is the best candidate for the position.
Oh, so there's a panel interviewing?
Correct.
But nobody from the council's on that panel.
Right. That's
No,
odd.
that is correct. It's very unusual to have board members on panels for interview process.
Really? I
Yeah.
would think that we'd be really one of the people who are intimately involved in the process, but
That's how we hired Irene, is through the board, Council on Aging board. We are the ones that recommended Irene.
That's
We
not the
interviewed.
process that the town manager wants to follow this time.
Okay, it's a new town manager. Okay, I understand.
Dee, this is Joe McCarthy. Who's on that interview board?
Sure, it's myself, a representative from the Youth and Rec, Demi Marsh, a representative from the library, which is Cindy Maza, Deanna Lima, the Community Services Coordinator, and Joe LeBlanc, the Veterans Agent. Those are the 4 other department heads that work in my division.
that doesn't make any sense that nobody
No, it
from
doesn't.
the council's on the board.
That's right.
I mean, on
That
the
doesn't make
panel, that needs to be taken up. I mean, we're the one that are going to be really empowered to work to ensure the success of the senior center, which is going to really depend on getting a really great director. And the fact that we're hearing nothing and know nothing from an organizational point of view, to me, doesn't make any sense. But I'm the new kid in the block, so I could be out in left field on this one. But
You're not, Joe. You're not.
all right.
Well, this is Joe McCarthy, and my sentiments are the same. When I asked who's on that board, I was not at all surprised to find out that many of those board members, or interview board members, really don't know that much about our senior center. I don't know if it's out of order, but I certainly like to make a motion that there was a representative on that interview board from our council on aging, and to say it as it is, it should be our council chairman. Would there be a problem with that, Dee?
I can take your concerns to the town manager, certainly, and she and I can discuss it, and I will get back to the chair.
Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
And again, that recommendation would be for our chairman to be on that board, but
Joe's making a motion and I'll second that motion.
Great.
well, okay, we have a motion that's been seconded. So
Yeah, but I'm not hearing that it's an improper motion. I guess we say it is a proper motion. So
I'm not
Yeah.
sure, I'm not sure that the board has the authority. That's why I need to discuss it with the town manager.
It's a request. We can make a request.
Yeah, it's not authority. It's just a request. But
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So you want to make
maybe
sure
it
that
just
you
needs
frame the motion that way?
it needs a
it's a request.
sensible revision of interest, I think, Dee. That's all we're saying.
I understand. I'm just saying you want to frame the motion that way. It's a request.
okay,
Yes.
please restate the motion.
yeah, this is Joe. I'll restate the motion. I make a motion, which is really a request that a member of council on aging is on that interview board for the new director of the Department of Elder Services. And that member really should be our chairman or someone appointed by our chairman.
Seconded.
Okay. You have that, Tracy? That the motion has been made and seconded?
I do.
Any other discussion or comment on it before voting? So ready to vote? Okay. I'll go down the list. I have David Van Arsdale,
Yes.
Maria Rosati,
Oh, yes.
Tracy Shea,
Yes.
Joe McCarthy,
Aye.
Quintera Costa,
Yes.
Joe Nahill.
Yes.
I don't think I missed anybody. I'll vote yes too. Okay, so the motion was passed unanimously by the members who are present. And Dee has said she will bring that to the town manager. Just as a point of
You're on
information,
mute.
I'm sorry, what?
She's on mute. I saw her speaking.
Oh,
I was just going to say, just so I'm clear, Larry, you would be the representative.
that's what the motion was?
Okay.
Yes.
Or he can appoint someone. If he's not in a position, he can appoint someone.
Right. The motion was you or a designee. So will it
Yes.
be you?
It's up to him. He doesn't have to say right now.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, I would do it if that's what's desired, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
One of the things, I've been, just as informational piece, I've been sending you out this little kind of an overview because we're a number of new people and trying to understand just how the role of the council works and what the authority and relationship issues are. And it's kind of as I'm reading it, and perhaps I would imagine you would too, it's a kind of combination of things. On one hand, we're appointed by the selectmen and we're responsible to the selectmen. There's also an issue that is working with the staff and the Elder Affairs and Senior Center Department. And that's a different kind of relationship. So we just need to be understanding which is which. And something like involved in selection of a new director, well, it's kind of muddy. It's not all that clear as to what the lines of authority will be. So we'll let Dee talk to the town manager and see what happens then. Okay. Do you have more on your report or updates
Yes,
with
I
us?
do. Yes, I do. Thank you. And I'm happy to bring that request to the town manager. Second is center cleaning and repairs. So we've been busy over at the center with cleaning and repairs. They did a complete floor cleaning, polishing all of the carpets. The bathrooms were attended to. Ceiling tiles are being replaced. There was a vent in the men's room that needed to be repaired. So now is the perfect time for us to address all of the physical plant issues while the center was relatively vacant. I don't know if any of you noticed in the pictures that I sent along of the first day, how incredibly clean everything is, and the paint looks fantastic. So it was so happy to be able to welcome the seniors back to a spruced up building.
The building looked great. Yeah.
it did. It's beautiful. Great
Good work.
pictures. Great pictures.
Any questions on the cleaning?
How did the
No.
food distribution go?
The food distribution went very well. It went to, Carla, correct me if I'm wrong, some went to the Lazarus House, some we kept for emergency purposes, and the remainder went to a group that the town has begun collaborating with called the Kindness Collaborative. I think
And-
some of you may have heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a
And then
great group. I love
also the
Merrimack.
also the Merrimack Valley, North Andover YMCA.
Thank you. So those were the groups that got the remainder of the food, and we did keep some for emergency purposes.
Good.
Great question. Any other questions? All right. If
Is the center still accepting non-food items like lotions and things of that nature to hand out to seniors, or?
we're trying to rethink how we're going to do that. I mean, space is always an issue. So I don't know if you saw the pictures, but the whole activities room was just full of items. And so now that we're re-energizing into the programming piece, we need to use those spaces. So we really don't have the capacity to hold as much food as we did over the winter because the center was empty. So it was the perfect time to take donations. So we're working with the Kindness Collaborative to figure out what makes sense in terms of going forward and if the senior center is an appropriate place to be a drop-off location or if we can find another location.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Good question. Any other questions before I move on? All right, so next is senior center programming. So they have been working very hard on getting programming so we can get small groups back into the center. Our kickoff was with the knitters, and you saw how happy they were to be back in the building. The first week was really spent by, Colette and Leah and the staff perfecting the entry and the exit procedures to keep everyone safe. I think we've done a really good job. The signage is all up. And as the governor continues to release capacity and increase indoor capacity, we will start to increase our group sizes and our programming. And we've also been discussing ways that we can be creative and as the weather gets warmer, use the parking lot. Can we cordon off areas in the parking lot and have something outside? So we're looking at different options on how we can increase programming as the weather gets nicer and as more and more people are vaccinated. So to let you know what programming took place, we had the knitters who kicked us off. There was a lecture group. The heart-to-heart group met. There was a gentle movement on Thursday and then game time.
How are you getting the word out to the seniors in the community?
Carla?
There was a newsletter that was mailed out the end of March and started arriving probably that very last week in March in people's mailboxes. So we've had a significant amount of increase in phone calling. And then our receptionists have been given the task of just reaching out to people who had attended certain classes in the past and letting them know what the new procedure is and what the new time was, because it may not be on the same day or at the same time. So that's kind of, it's a little bit of word of mouth as well as the mailing.
And Dave, we've also discussed working with Brian at NACAM to do a video that shows the entry and exit process so seniors can feel safe that, we are doing everything we can to make sure, that they're safe if they want to return to the center. So that's something that, Leah, Carla, and I are discussing to put maybe a little, commercial, if you will, on NACAM that says, hey, we're open, here's what it looks like, here's how you get in, and here's where you go, and everyone's got their masks on, and everything's been cleaned and wiped, and we have one of those electrostatic things that, makes everything fresh and sanitary again. So, we think that might be helpful to ease any anxiety that some members might have about, returning to the physical space. Plus, it's all clean and shiny, so that's good.
The newsletter was
Okay,
very nice. Porter was a nice write-up for Irene in it.
Yes, it was. And I
Yes.
have to say, the senior center right now looks the most sparkly it has ever looked in the 9 years I've worked here. So it's fabulous. And at that point, I'm going to have to excuse myself. So see you all.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Carla. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Carla. Bye bye.
So that's where we stand with programming. Any questions before I move on to my last item? Okay.
Well, one question I would have then is what would be the process for our council being able to meet
Hey,
in person again.
So I
Thank
reached
you.
out to Brian LaGrasse, the health director, and I'm waiting to hear back from him if we can do something in the large activity room. So hopefully by our next meeting, that capacity will be able to have more than 10 people in that room. That's kind of the restriction that we've had. All of you plus staff takes us over 10. So I'm going to check in with him and see if there's any way we can maybe meet outside.
Oh,
If it's a
good.
good day.
Okay,
Nice.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other
this-
option, the other option is, what if we are all vaccinated by then?
We should be, hopefully.
I'm still in the incubation period from my vaccine. So other than that, I think that's a good point. If everyone has been vaccinated, I can check with Brian and see if that's a disclaimer that we can
Good.
then meet. Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Dee.
Okay, so how many of us are vaccinated at this point?
I'm done.
I
Yeah,
am.
I'm done.
Who's
I'm
not?
eligible.
Maybe you should say who's not vaccinated.
I'm not eligible yet.
Same
Oh,
for me, Quintara. I'm not. I'm trying. I'm on the pre-registered list, but I'm just not eligible yet.
Yeah,
April
right now,
19th is coming.
This is Joe McCarthy again. The eligibility for everyone in our state, 16 years of age or older,
Next week,
will be the 19th of this month. And speaking of getting together, and we talked a little bit about it last Council on Aging meeting. The options that we have available to us to get together. I know, for example, our Board of Health, we had our first live meeting at the Select Board's conference room this past month, and it was pretty exciting to get. It's been almost a year. Indeed, you said that you're still in the incubation period. For those that have been vaccinated, it takes
2
for
weeks.
full effect, it's 2 weeks.
Mhm.
2 weeks. So things are looking up, and I'll be going over some of the specifics when I go through the monthly health report.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Maria. This Friday will be 2 weeks for me. So by our next meeting, I will also be fully vaccinated. So,
Good.
Great.
Good.
all right. I saved the best news for last.
Ah,
Ready? Are we ready?
already.
The tenant is gone.
Ah,
Tomorrow night, the Board of Selectmen will be voting on the purchase and sales agreement.
Aha!
well, great.
My goodness.
Victory!
That's great.
Give
And
us
so-
give us the dirt. How did it happen?
I can't give you the dirt, but that's good try, Joe. No. All I can say is that the tenant is gone. Tomorrow night, the board will vote on the purchase and sale, and then we move forward from there. So very,
Somebody did
very
some good
exciting.
negotiating.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't involved, but I'm sure it was on the part of the town manager. But yes, so we are very excited. We see a groundbreaking in the very near future. So that's very, very exciting. I obviously will keep all of you updated after the board meeting and then what the process will be moving forward.
Dee, I have a question. It's Maria. Isn't there supposed to be apartment buildings built on that property also? Does that have any effect to our building being postponed again until they get the approval for those 2 apartment buildings or whatever going up?
It's my understanding, Maria, we can proceed. The only thing that we really share is the driveway. So I believe
Okay.
our portion of the construction project can begin.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
But I will
got
definitely
clueless.
confirm that with Andrew Shapiro.
Okay, thank you, Dee.
Dee, this is Joe again. In the last 12 months, the cost of lumber has gone up 188%, obviously during this pandemic. And if one is to buy a new house, that has increased the cost by $24,000. So having said that, because we already have a cost for this new senior center, and that has been voted upon twice, as a matter of fact, and town meetings. And I wouldn't be surprised if the cost now will be higher because of the cost of wood and other such commodities. Do you see another town meeting for a cost override? Can it be built within the cost estimate that we have approved? Can you comment on this further? Because that's the contractor's not going to lose any money on this. And yet the capital cost, the construction cost is going to be more. So where do we stand?
It's my understanding that the legal team is working on that negotiation right now. Last conversation I had with the town manager is that, yes, we can still afford the building to move forward. So that's, I'm pretty confident that the building will be moving forward without needing a further appropriation at town meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Well, that's good news. Thank you, Dee, for all those reports. That's helpful.
Okay.
Yes,
You're welcome.
very
Thank you.
helpful.
There's a couple of things I'd like to mention under other business, and then we can get in, unless anybody else has some other things, then Joe can do his health report. One thing, I don't know whether people have seen it, and like we think about our council and where we're going, and there's going to be a lot of discussion in the next couple of months, and certainly when the new director gets here, there'll be some meetings with her too. But thinking in terms of the two ideas, what happens with the senior center and what happens in elder affairs, and also what our relationship and role should be with keeping the Board of Selectmen informed. I mean, they've got a lot of things to do on their plate, and one reason to have a council of aging is that we can be a voice or a counsel to the Board of Selectmen about aging issues, which means we need to keep having a process of keeping ourselves informed of what do we need to know and how do we find out and how does all of that kind of thing work. But some of you may have seen the reports, for instance, on changing population. The Census Bureau has a statement out that they're projecting by the year 2034, another dozen years from now, for the first time in the United States history, the number of seniors will be larger than the number of children in the country. That they're actually projecting there would be 23.4% of the country's population will be seniors, over 65, and 19.8% will be children. Now that's got to have a pretty significant impact. I don't know what that will be in Massachusetts or North Andover, but it's a kind of thing we can be paying a little bit of attention to. That's one issue, just to have in our minds and thinking about it. The other one is, I don't know whether our council or the town is really attended to this thing. I just haven't paid attention myself. But I see on August 21st, it's National Senior Citizen Day. So if the town does anything on National Senior Citizen Day, or if we want to do something or have some informational thing, we've got a little bit of time to think about that and talk about it. Do we want to have something in town for National Senior Citizen Day on August 24? The other part is I've sent you these three overviews about our council, and I'd like to see us, and I will get in touch with each of you individually. But if you could spend a little time thinking about that, going over it and saying, review the committees again. Everybody is supposed to be on a committee, but look at them. When a new director gets here, I'm going to sit down with Dee and the new director, and we'll talk about committees, and we can talk about our role with the selectmen and what we want that to be. But think about where you'd like to be on, what interests you, and what committee would make sense for you. Think about what you'd like to know more about, and maybe we can set up some informational processes that we can talk to each other, we can research, we can do things. And I'll reach out to each of you individually, but also, talk to me, send an email or pick up the phone, and just let's spend the next couple of months getting ourselves ready to move into the new year. So
That's great,
that-
Larry. You did a great job sending
Excellent.
that stuff out, and
Yeah.
it's Joe Nahill, by the way. And it, as I read through it, it's as legalistic as anything you can imagine. I think what we need to then look at is how we practically turn that into work for us. There was, for example, when I read it, one of the things that did hit me, and I've said it already, was that we're not involved in selecting the new director. The other thing that hit me was that there was a mention of the Friends. And the last time I heard the Friends, Irene mentioned the fact that she had to go to Demulis's to buy 100 gift cards or something, and she had to go to the Friends to get some money to go buy those gift cards. And so it kind of begs the question then, what's the relationship of the Friends to the seniors? What's really the relationship of us to the Friends? If you read what was sent, it was like we oversee them, or we intersect with them, but there's no real bones in what we need to do. Maybe a member of the Friends needs to be on the board if there is a financial interchange with both of them. So there were a bunch of questions in my mind about how all this nets out in a practical sense. And I know I'm the new kid in the block, so I mean, maybe I'm this stuff has all been hashed over, but I think those are some of the things I'd like to see going forward.
That's why we need face-to-face meetings.
You're right.
Discuss all this in person. It's just silly over the phone. You can't get anything really accomplished. Anyhow, this is Big Mouth Maria. Sorry.
Yes, the whole issue of the Friends as a separate, and I'm assuming it's a 501c3 corporation.
Yeah, it is.
One of the things I would like to get that I don't have, I saw a copy of bylaws for the Friends that was dated 2003. I would imagine somewhere in the office there should be an articles of organization that I would like to see too. One of the questions is who owns the Friends?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Whether it's kind of sitting out there as a not-for-profit that it directs itself, it's not really clear. But there should be, I suppose there should be 1099s filed with IRS with financial statements, and there should be annual meetings and elections and minutes and all that kind of stuff. But from what I've seen, it's not abundantly clear as to who owns this thing and who's responsible for it. It does say we cooperate with it. And,
right.
But that's all I know.
Yeah, this is Joe McCarthy again. I did respond, Larry, to that memo that you sent up, which as noted was very, very good. And one of the things that I responded just to you, and one of the things I noted is the Friends, truly an anomaly. For example, who's the point person? Do we know?
No.
So the Friends have access to charitable contributions that we receive. We don't even know who the point person is. We know nothing about them.
Correct.
This is really unacceptable. As a minimum, there should be this point person from the Friends, and I assume there is a point person at our next council on aging meeting. Or if not, then perhaps you, Larry, or someone else in our council sit down with that person. I had been given her name a number of months ago, and I just don't know who she is. Do you know who she is?
Excuse me, this is Maria. Last I heard was Leah was kind of responsible for the finances on the Friends. So I don't know if that's still true. It's just something I heard. Sorry.
Leah is the liaison and Department of Elder Services with the Friends group.
Okay.
But there's a point person in the Friends group that has access to money that directly will go to our senior center, and we should find out more about that person. Unfortunately, a lot of things have slipped through the cracks because of this pandemic. But as I said last month, we're at the seventh inning break, and things are going to get better real fast. And we have to focus on doing what we can, getting as much revenue as we can for our senior centers.
Well, that's right, Joe, and that begs the point. How I kind of got involved in this thing 3 or 4 years ago is through Leah. I did all of the publicity work when we had the Glenn Miller Orchestra in town, and the point person there they were brought in by the Friends, and the Friends actually put up the money for it and all that. So I kind of assumed that they were and again, I had not a real clue as to what was going on in town, that they were sort of the primary senior organization. Now it turns out they really aren't. We are, but they're charted apparently with raising money, and we are or we are not. I don't know. So it's a gray abyss, I think. And Larry, to your point, we do need to clarify it. I think that's right.
Yeah, this council cannot raise money. We're not a corporation.
No.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, we're appointed by the selectmen to be advisory. And I mean, I've sent you out what the town charter says we are. And then in addition to that, there's these bylaws that shows the relationship we have with staff. And I think that's why, because we can't raise funds, why the Friends and a lot of other cities and towns do create a separate corporation that's a 501c3 that can raise tax deductible donations.
So that speaks to the point that maybe there needs to be a tightening of the bylaws that simply it goes a lot further than just saying we oversee the Friends, that we have a collegial relationship with them, and that a member of the Friends at their discretion sits on the board, and the board at our discretion sits on their board as well, so that there's some interlocking relationships that allow us to kind of impact the fundraising and the expenditures.
Yeah, it's not clear to me that we are supposed to oversee the Friends. It says we support them. But I don't see
them.
That's
I don't know
verb, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, I don't know who oversees the Friends. I mean,
Not us.
I don't know whether the articles of organization state that or there's some paperwork somewhere else that says that. But we need to get to understand what's what.
Exactly.
And we're going to need the help from, I guess, Dee and others in town to try to figure that out.
Yep.
I certainly will look into it and have something on the next agenda.
Oh, great, Dee. Thanks a lot.
Good.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is Joe again. Now, going back several years, and I've sat in several of the Friends meetings. The Friends at that time consisted of really one person. I believe her name was Maria Cashman, although I'm not sure. She has since retired or resigned. It's a voluntary.
Yeah,
it's a voluntary position, and she would, on a regular basis, go over with Department of Elder Services and members of the Council on Aging where we stand as far as finances. She's gone. Someone else is there right now. So if we are talking about a Friends group, there was no such group. It may be one person right now that works
Right
with the
now.
Department of Elder Services.
Yeah.
So a lot is unknown.
Okay, I guess that's it. Is there any other business someone would like to bring up?
Hey, Larry, I need a clarification. When you were talking about the Senior Citizen Day, you once mentioned it was August 21st, but then you said the 24th.
I'm sorry, the 21st. If I said the 24th, I'm sorry. Should be August 21, National Senior Citizen Day. And that's if we want to, or if the town wants to do anything, we can talk about that.
I just wanted to correct the date. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next on the item would be our coronavirus and vaccine update. Joe?
Yeah, before I go through that, I just want to further comment on what I briefly mentioned last month, which is and are the options for future Council on Aging meetings. I see 4 or 5 options. Virtual meetings will remain as is without showing people's faces on TV. Virtual meetings showing people's faces on TV. Meetings with COA members in the senior center, not televised as in the past. Meetings with COA members at the senior center televised. And perhaps there are a few other ones, but it warrants further consideration going forward. Right now, what's most important is when we'll be able to get together, either inside our senior center or outside. And at that
Right.
point in time, we can further talk about options available to all of us.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Dee has already mentioned that she will be looking into that and seeing what we
Yeah.
can meet.
Mhm.
Yes.
Correct.
On the monthly health report, first I'd like to highlight a message from our town manager, Melissa Rodriguez, to our town residents. It's only a paragraph, but it says, quote, "Last week was National Public Health Week. I hope you will join me in thanking and celebrating our amazing health department staff that have served us so well over the past year. The pandemic has certainly thrust them into the limelight, and they met the challenge every day. I'm so proud to work with such a dedicated and talented group, and I can't thank them enough for their commitment to North Andover. As chairman of the town board of health, I fully support what she says. It's an absolutely outstanding department that we have. We are very, very fortunate. Very nice message, by the way, she had. So moving on, first of all, not all of the information that I'll present will directly concern our town seniors. But if not them, it does concern their families and relatives. And as such, I want to go to and through an update of where we are at this particular time in North Andover. Massachusetts seniors in the vaccine. Since February the 18th, seniors over 65 have been eligible for vaccination. And as noted, signing up for the vaccination on the Mass.gov website has been difficult for many seniors. So the state and our town are helping them sign up. And for our assistance, that is for state assistance, dial 211, and for town assistance, dial 978-208-6070. Dee, has that changed at all? Or is that still the number that is in effect in our town?
I believe so. Yes, I'll confirm that.
Yeah, okay. On April the 5th, all state residents 55 and over, and any resident at least 16 years old with one medical comorbidity issue were eligible for vaccination. So when I say comorbidity, that's like asthma, cancer, heart conditions, organ transplants, obesity, pregnancy, smoking, type 2 diabetics, et cetera, et cetera. This comorbidity notation is actually voluntary. And some people will lie to get a shot. And it's not like obesity, for example. If you take a look at the BMI, the body mass index, for people it should be no more than 25. Well, I'm 5'10", 174, and my BMI is 25. So I would consider to be borderline heavy, which I'm not. If you smoke more than 10 cigarettes, probably even joints, I don't know, in your life, then you will be eligible to receive a shot as of now. On the 19th of this month, all remaining residents at least 16 years old will be eligible to be vaccinated. And they can register, or the pre-register right now. Now, of the 4.1 million Massachusetts residents who have been or soon will be eligible for vaccination, approximately 2 million of us have or will be fully vaccinated by next Monday. And another 25% have already received one shot. As we know, the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines are two shot vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson, which isn't short supply because of a batching problem that they've had. That's just one shot. And furthermore, over 100,000 people in Massachusetts daily are vaccinated. So as such, by summer, the vast majority of residents 16 years old or older will have been vaccinated. And combined with residents who have had the vaccine, herding should take place and the vaccine will subside. It's not going to disappear, but it's going to subside. Now, looking at the statistics here in North Andover, about 41%, and this is as of last week, 41% of all residents have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and 25% of residents are fully vaccinated. And these numbers were extracted from the state's immunization system. It's available to us, to our town, through that system. So I called the Department of Health and I said, what does this mean? 41% seems to be low. Is that all residents, or this residents 16 years of age or older? And the response was, that's all residents. 41% of all residents. So that is of interest. Looking at the statistical numbers here in North Andover, the total cases over 2,800, active 78, recovered and out of isolation about 2,700, and related deaths 87. Active Merrimack case, I'm talking about the college, included in that number, and that's 9. So our town schools, K-5, fully open. Middle school, fully open as of the 28th of this month. And high school, fully open as of the 29th of this month. Dee, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe that our town hall is now fully open as of yesterday. And you can just walk in. Am I correct on that?
You are correct. We did a soft opening like we did at the senior center to make sure that we have all of our procedures in place. But yes, if somebody comes in and they have to pay a bill or whatever, they can come in person to town hall.
Good, good.
Wow, and it's been a year, and I think we shut down like March 16th. So this is really terrific news. How about our library, Dee? I know it was open by appointment, but can you just go in without an appointment right now? Or?
No.
No, we're still using the appointment process there because they have to take up so much room in the physical building for the curbside. We're trying to figure out how we can move the curbside and allow for just general browsing, but we are working on that as well. And I just wanted to confirm, Joe, the number for the COVID hotline is 978-208-6070.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Vaccines and the virus. Some comments and questions and answers that I have been asked and further looked into. First, a comment. Pfizer has just requested emergency use authorization of their vaccine for children 12 years old or older. Now, it's usually like a week or two after the emergency use authorization has been requested that there is approval. So this does concern some of our children and certainly grandchildren. 12 years old or older should be eligible to be vaccinated within several weeks. Now, questions. Are the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines equally effective? Well, the answer is yes. And the effectiveness is virtually 100% in keeping people out of hospitals and preventing deaths. And this was a topic, and somewhat of a heated topic of discussion the last Board of Health meeting that we had. And the doctors of the board made it very clear that when they talk about effectiveness, they're concerned about keeping people alive and out of hospitals. And each one of these 3 vaccines do precisely that, virtually at 100%. Another question. Can you catch the virus after having been fully vaccinated? The answer is yes. But studies show that it's just a fraction of 1%, and it's called breakthrough cases. And even if one does get infected, it will be a mild case, like a cold, and will not require hospitalization or result in death. Now, the information that I'm going over, the information that I provided over the last year or so, I mean, it changes. But this is the latest and the greatest. Another question posed to me: can people remain ill after having had the virus? Matter of fact, that was a front page article in today's Boston Globe, and the answer is yes. 10 to 30% of survivors remain ill, including many who have had mild cases, and they're referred to as long haulers. So even if you had a mild case of the virus, you can still be ill. And the symptoms include brain fog, headache, numbness or tingling, loss of smell and taste. That's very common in the virus, incidentally. Muscle pain and dizziness. And furthermore, for people who have been hospitalized with the virus, medical problems can include brain bleeds, strokes, movement disorders, nerve root disorders, insomnia, and psychotic disorders. And I mentioned all that because the people have been affected worse by this virus of us elderly people. And unfortunately, it doesn't go away for some people. They're no longer infected, but they have side effects, residual side effects that can be quite troublesome, to say the least. So I hope to have and present more information on the virus and vaccines by our next Board of Health meeting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, May the 13th, which will be another live, not a virtual meeting. And that'll be broadcast on Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 26. Questions, comments?
Nice report, Joe.
So things are getting very, very, very good. A concern that I have is that a major concern that I have is that our politicians, starting from the president and past president, governors, mayors, town administrators, and so forth, from my perspective, it certainly has gone to many of their heads. And some of them, I'm not going to mention names, have done a very, very good job and do not want to release their power. I don't see that happening in North Andover. I have a lot of respect and admiration for the people that work for our town, but it is a concern nevertheless. And I think also that our governor, fortunately, has done a pretty good job. But it's going to be a problem. Some of them will not want to release their power, and their power has been absolute.
Yeah.
Concerning our lives, it's quite troublesome. Of course, I'm speaking as pretty much a libertarian, but nevertheless, I'm concerned about the power, happiness, madness of some of our politicians. Other questions?
I second that concern.
There you
There's an
go.
interesting letter to the editor in the Globe this morning from the perspective of seniors that might be worth reading for all of us.
I contacted the Globe a month ago, and a letter to the editors, and I'm saying to myself, there is no way that the Boston Globe, which is a very liberal democratic newspaper, although I subscribe to it, would print this, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of an independent. I'm an independent, but my political leaning is towards libertarians, which means we don't trust people in government, period, except for the town, of course.
I would call your attention to the letter.
Serious about that.
Today.
So the Globe never printed it. Never printed it.
Who did you contact? Well, at one point before all of this started, they had what they used to call a North Shore desk, and there were two people that were assigned to north of Boston, which included the Merrimack Valley. Now, my knowledge of that is about a year old, so it's in all likelihood they're gone. But if you want to retake that up, you might ask on a phone call, Joe, whether they do have a north of Boston desk.
Yeah, I made a number of calls to the Boston Globe. They told me how to submit information that, if accepted, would be in the opinion section of the Globe. I didn't think that it would be, and when it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it as a chairman of the Board of Health. I just did it as an individual. I don't think it would matter to me.
The other thing you could do is you could do and it would certainly make it a letter to the editor in the Tribune.
That's a different story. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. David, did you finish what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody's attention. There is a very interesting letter to the editor in today's Globe from the perspective of seniors.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay.
I'm going to tease you so you go looking for it.
Okay.
David, it's a letter to the editor in the letter to the editor's column, or it's a regular.
I believe so. I look at it online, so I'm never sure if what I'm reading is the same as the printed.
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come to us? If
Well, just-
not, I guess,
Well, this is a gripe that I have. Most of us have been vaccinated, fully vaccinated. And yet, even if you want to take a walk Wire Hill on a town park and with no one around, you still have to wear a mask. I find that to be
Insane.
warranted, but it is what it is. And, where do you make the exceptions? The governor's saying everyone who wear a mask outside, fine. But when I'm in those backwoods, I say to myself, what do I have a mask on for? Well, I have a mask on because I'm told to do it. Don't like it.
okay. With that, I guess it could be time to end. If someone would like to move, we adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it, Maria.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Hope you have a good week coming up, and talk to you soon.